All right. My name is Judson B. Powell the third, and I don't have one of those special, one of those Kemetic or Cushite or Ethiopian type names or nothing like that. But anyway, I kept my name because I'm proud of my granddad and my dad, and they were good men. So I'm named after them, and my son is named after me. So I don't see any reason to change that. It's very, in fact, in the spiritual realm, it has very little to do with anything. All right. Anyway, so what I want to talk to y'all about is some things that I pretty much have picked up since I've been, studying and doing all this stuff for learning my African spirituality. And so one of the first concepts that I really ran across was the concept of Mayat. And if you look at my Instagram post, you will see that in Mayat, it's basically the precursor to the Ten Commandments or Hammurabi's Code, which some people also say is the person in the Bible named Ham, or as they call him, Cam. So anyway, Hammurabi, basically meaning, giver of the law or whatever. Okay, so now, but Mayat is, first of all, Mayat is feminine energy, all right? And so Mayat is a feminine goddess. And then we have her counterpart, which is Tahuti. So we have Mayat and Tahuti. Now, if you look at my Instagram post, you see that a lot of the stuff that's on the Instagram post is actually talking about things that are like laws. However, they are not laws. They are negative confessions, meaning these are the confessions that you would give. So the story goes is that you give these confessions to Mayat, and she weighs what you say, your heart, or what's in your heart, against a feather. And then whatever judgment is passed upon you, the god Tahuti will pass the judgment. And that's basically what would happen to you upon death. And of course, in Christianity or in Islam, at that particular point, that's, where they get all their stuff about judgment and everything. But in reality, their judgment was vastly different from the judgment that we're accustomed to in Christian or Islamic circles. And basically Islam is basically Old Testament Bible, because it was made 600 years after the Old Testament was written. But even though people get mad when you say that, but most of it coincides. Most of it is pretty much the same. Abraham, the law, the things that you can and you can't do. So all of that stuff being said, the difference between Mayat and the things that most people are used to studying or used to sitting up under as a religion, there's a vast difference, and the vast difference in that is that Mayat, she is more about balance, and it's more so about being a balanced person and being just and righteous and all of those things, which is something that some of the prior pastors alluded to, but they were I guess they were pretty much afraid to go all the way and say, well, there is no judgment, there is no Jesus. The closest that the Bible gets to that is say, judge not lest ye be judged. So we all know that scripture exists, or don't. So they didn't judge according to the same standard. So it wasn't like, okay, or I should say the standard of sin. Okay, so you did something, you stole something. Let's give a little example. So you stole something, and so, then there's a punishment for stealing. So that's biblical or Quranic, okay? Is that a word, Quranic? Anyway, but that's either what's in the Quran or what's in the Bible. So you steal, and there's a penalty, for stealing. They cut off your hand, or or if you look upon another man's wife, they put your eyes out, or however it goes, whatever the punishment is, or they stone you. If you're a woman and you cheat on your husband, they stone you to death. That's one of the ones that Christian men love to talk about all the time, right? So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that in Ma'at, the system was not based on sin or on punishment. That's not what it was about. It was saying that if you find yourself in a situation and the situation keeps turning out the same, then that means that somehow you're out of balance. And the symbol, of course, for Ma'at is the woman with her wings expanded. And like I said, but it had more to do with balance and justice and fairness and all of those type of things. And the other thing is that the situation, whatever the situation, which included your bad behavior, was not judged according to some standard or whatever. And Tahuti would carry out that judgment, whether or not you would get into heaven. But they believed in a form of reincarnation. In other words, if you didn't take care of everything that you were supposed to take care of in this life, you will be sent back for another life, or you may be sent back for a lower life. And the only way, and so then I started studying a little bit deeper, and then I was like, well, what is this all about, the reincarnation? Because I remember I used to have arguments about reincarnation because of the whole thing with Elijah in the Bible, and the fact that the Bible said that Elijah must first come again, and then just like John the Baptist, was John the Baptist really Elijah? So we had all these different things that so I'm saying, well, that's a form of reincarnation. And then after Elijah came, then it was like, okay, Elijah came, and then we know that after Elijah came, then here comes Jesus, right? Or the Christ. So, but then as I kept studying the Moorish science, and basically what that was saying was, it was like a way of moving up the chakras. And so moving up the chakras, well, if Elijah came, that was your third eye opening, and then the next step up was your Christ state, because Christ came, and then when Christ came, that was saying that you are now in your crown chakra, that you have reached the epitome. But say you come to the earth and you enter into the earth realm, and this is what a lot of yogis and people like that, they believe that, okay, if you never engage your chakras, so say you die, which happens to a lot of people, say you die and you haven't reached above, say your root chakra or your kundalini energy, say you haven't reached past that, well, then you come back again. You come right back, but you will come back at the same level until you learn how to reach the upper levels of your chakras. So until you can go through the solar plexus and through the heart and the throat chakra and all of all of the chakras that you need to go through, and open your third eye, and then you reach your crown chakra. So unless you do that, right, then you're sent back. So if you happen to pass away, and that's your judgment. So it's not necessarily that you are being judged according to sin. And the reason why you can't really judge according to sin, especially in the Kemetic spirituality and science, the reason why you can't judge according to sin is because with everything, we know that the law of nature says that there's a law of duality, which means that everything is on the scale. It just means that you might be at one end of the scale or the other. And if you're on one end of the scale or the other, right? And even what we're doing is we're weighing your heart. what's in your heart against a feather, which we know is an unfair, the feather will always lose. The feather will always lose. So it's not talking about judging you based on sin or anything like that. What it's saying is, so when you do those negative confessions, I have not polluted the earth. I have not, and it became for them, it seems, because I can only have what I've been able to read or, digest through books, but the only thing that they're able to do, or they were able to do, was do those negative confessions, because they're not laws. You don't have to. And then there are reasons why. So when you look at the scale, look at it as hot and cold, or good and bad. Well, hot and cold are all on the same thermometer, right? Hot and cold are all on the same thermometer. It's just degrees, varied levels of what's on the thermometer. That's all it is. So when we think about those things, we have to realize, we have to think to ourselves, we have to be like, okay, have I during my life, have I been on the hot end, or have I been on the cold end? Have I been on the good end, or have I been on the bad? Because what happens is people they keep repetitively they're repetitive in their behavior. In other words, they do the same stuff over and over again, and so what that becomes their persona or their personality. And so what Mayat is doing is saying, look, get it right, and then, until you get it right, I'm going to keep on sending you back. Tahuti is like, okay, he's like, oh, well, this dude is, he's crown chakra material. And remember, even the Bible, and you can go through the Moorish science, and you can look and you can see in the Bible, what does it tell you get if you do right? If you're successful with the spirit over the flesh. Well, what do you get? You get a crown. Or what's that song? No cross, no crown, or all those things, because everything exists in the plane. Everything exists in the physical and the material plane, as well as in the spiritual plane. So you're going to get stuff that's going to happen that's going to be beyond your fault. That's why what the Lord Spirit, forgive me my trespasses, as we forgive those who trespassed against us, because it's impossible to go through an entire lifetime and not trespass. It's going to happen. But because you trespass, should you spend eternity in hell? And I think that's the difference between African spirituality and Christianity and Islam, is the fact that, they're trying to tell you, oh, wow, you do something wrong, you're going straight to hell, but you do not pass go, do not collect $200, you are going to hell. And the concept, by the way, the concept of hell and the concept of all of this other stuff, all those concepts, whatever, they are based upon things that were made up in Catholicism by the Catholic Church. Hell, purgatory, even the devil and Lucifer, all of that stuff, because those things exist within you. Those are things that exist within your soul and within your spirit. Because the only person that, if you know African spirituality, you know that there is nothing, that is outside of you. God is inside of you, and everything that you need to know is inside of you. That's why we say, what? Know thyself. If you know yourself, then you know what you're capable of. So know thyself. Know thyself, and to what? To thine own self be true. And I keep saying that over and over again, and I'm going to keep saying it until y'all get it, until you understand. Know yourself, and to your own self be true. Don't keep on doing the same stuff over and over again. Evolve. And that's what the whole thing about trying to open your third eye is. It's like evolving. It's like evolve. And finally, when you have evolved, then you reach that crown. Because if you notice, like in any chart you see about chakras, the crown chakra is outside of your body. It's not in your body. It's outside of your body. Okay? So just understand that it's a spiritual thing. It has not a zero to do with sin or whatever sin you did, because you could commit a sin, but you might have had to. Didn't have a choice. Look, if my kids are hungry tonight,
I would steal right now. So I'm gonna let you know that. Anyway, I love y'all. I gotta go. That's my 15 minutes. Mayat to Houthi Hotep.